Perfect. Problem solved. All right, it's been a while since I did this. Give me a second to get everything going real quick, guys. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. I think we're in the green. Like 85% sure. All right. Here we go. Yep. We'll let it sit for a second. It was good, Tyson. When I saw your message, I was like, "Hey, somebody asked for it, so I gotta pop up." This is gonna be an interesting season. I'm not gonna lie. Let me see. Let me see. I don't know why it's doing that. Interesting. All right. So to put things into simple terms, right? The Jazz are gonna be bad this year. We're gonna be atrocious, for lack of better phrasing. But it is what we expected. You know what I'm saying? Just going over the base box score. Taylor Hendricks did have a pretty decent showing. That 15 was, it warmed my heart. You know what I'm saying? It was one of those things that we just, it's one thing to say you expect something to happen or to hope something happens, but when you actually get it and like actually get to see like the fruits of that effort being put in, it just makes a difference. What's good, Logic? It's just one of those things, man. This starting lineup was a starting lineup. You know, I don't want to sit here and say like it was amazing, it was beautiful, because it wasn't. It was just there. But you know, we saw some productive things. One thing that I don't want to harp on too much, but I am interested to see where it goes. Just seeing what happens with Cody Williams, because I honestly don't know. Like, I don't know what happens with him. And it's hard because it's like it's one of those things where a lot of these guys are in prove it situations, and some of these guys just have a longer leash than others. And he's one of those guys that doesn't quite have it. So either he gets it all going, he gets it going the way that he needs it to, or he just misses out. And it looks like we're leaning into that missing out category, which I don't want to happen for him, but it's becoming more rough as time goes on. You said Isaiah hamstring, Larry Relfris, and Kessler shoulder. Yeah, when I saw that, I think Tayton sent me the injury report yesterday, and I was cracking up. He was like, we're tanking right out the gate," and I just found it so hilarious. Um, I mean, it does kind of stand to reason because I believe there was a recent scrimmage that we had during the training camp period, and all those guys were also out of the action. So the same most for the most part, the guys that we saw right here playing this preseason game were also the same people that played during that scrimmage. So I'm willing to entertain the possibility that it was an actual injury, that happened to some of these guys, um, or that is lingering. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're a team and you're trying to be bad, you don't necessarily need your better players on the floor. Obviously, that more so applies to Walker Kessler and Larry Markkinen than it does Isaiah Collier. But at the same time, you know, it gives you the opportunity to see some other guys do some interesting things. And I liked having Ace Bailey, for the 31 minutes that he played, most of them were at that guard position. And I was talking about it when we first drafted him. I want to see him play a lot of guard minutes. Do I think he's going to play a lot more of that tweener forward type of role overall? Probably. But I think if we can get to a point where he's playing a lot of guard minutes, it's going to force him to work on his handle. It's going to force him to work on his shot selection. It's going to force him to be a stronger facilitator, and it will make his game more well-rounded by the end of the season. Um, Honestly, pretty solid performances all around. Like I said, Taylor Hendricks with his 15 and 4. Matter of fact, I don't even want to look at this. I hate their graphic. I'm not gonna lie. I appreciate Google, but I hate their graphic. We're just gonna go straight to NBA. Give me straight to the NBA. Yeah, Kevin Durant. Kevin friggin' Durant. Yeah, what a guy. But yeah, that was one thing I didn't say. You said in Kyle back. I think it's why I heard so much offensive potential loss there. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And honestly, when it comes to Taylor, dude, that 4 of 8 from beyond the arc, dude. Now the free throws were an interesting one. Going 1 for 4 there. I don't put too much stock into it because that those threes matter way more to me. Um, but it was just I can't harp on how nice it was to see him just like back in playing shape. 27 minutes of action is really solid, really solid. Excuse me. Even for a preseason game, just overall, it makes a lot of sense. And him being available and ready to play. 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, only 2 turnovers. Obviously everybody had a negative box score. Keontae George had the highest. Interesting. Flat 0. 7 of 11. Keontae George was efficient today. Another thing, again, it is preseason, so we take it with a grain of salt. But at the same time, you still have to entertain it. You know what I'm saying? Yusuf Nurkic was surprisingly efficient, and when he hit his 1 3, I was like, all right, brother. 8 rebounds, 7 assists. I think he's trying to beat my washed allegations and the allegations that some other people have put on him. Uh, we'll see how well he holds in the regular season. Overall, I think that he's a really good model for things that Walker Kessler can add to his offensive bag because we know what he is defensively. We know we can get more out of him than just being a shot blocker as well. But I feel like if you took Yusuf Nurkic's game, even at this point in his career, and combined it with what Walker Kessler does defensively, it would have been a no-brainer for them to go ahead and sign him to the contract that a lot of people were questioning coming into this season. But the fact that it doesn't really exist on the offensive side of the ball just yet, it's kind of one of those decisions where it's like, yeah, the NBA is a business and we have to respect it as such. You said the worst part was that we had 7 made free throws. There were 20 plus. Ooh, let me see. That was only 12, but still not good because 4 of them were Kevin Love and he hit all 4 of his. So yeah, we were really 3 of 8. Ooh, yucky. That's nasty. All right. But yeah, surprising performance from Nurkic. Ace Bailey and his 31 minutes. I love how it was 31 minutes flat. Not a second over, not a second under. 11 of 16, 2 of 5. I wish they had the NBA needs to make some sort of like behind the scenes pass where guys are just cooking up everybody's shot charts and everything like that, like behind the scenes. I need a whole website where I could just go to it as soon as a game ends and see every shot that this person took during the game because I would love to just talk about the shots that he elected to take and him being able to hit it at almost 70% clip, right? Because if you 2 of 5 from 3, even if you take those out, right, he was 9 of 11, right? Yeah, 9 of 11 in twos, right? Which is absurd, especially considering that he spent most of his time at the guard position today. Wall should be the oldest player on the team. The oldest? The oldest main cog. I think veterans are going to be imperative to this team's success. And I think Kevin Love probably will get traded at some point very soon. I've seen a few more rumors pop up and all around, but I think that ultimately we will see him go. But until he goes, I think he's a very solid vet. Like out of all the veterans in the league, a lot of guys that aren't going to take minutes from the young guys, but will still push the young guys in practice. Like you're not about to sit here and just get thrown out on the court because you're terrible. Yes, we're tanking, but you have to improve, right? You have to be better. And just also from a skill set thing, Kyle Filipowski and I almost said Walter Clayton Jr. Wow, and Walker Kessler can both learn a lot from him, right? even Taylor Hendricks can learn a lot from him, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So I like the fact that he's still here. I'm not mad that we still have him on the roster. I feel like we've made some other boneheaded decisions in the offseason, but overall, this was a pretty solid offseason, all things considered. Ace Bailey, the 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, only 2 turnovers in that 31 minutes of action was really nice to me. Nobody's gonna really talk about it, and again, it is preseason, so a sprinkle of salt, but it still matters to me. You said Ace great in between, yeah. Ace Bailey Rookie of the Year. He's gonna have a case, right? And there's 2 things that I think will highly impact it, right? We're obviously going to be a bad team. We're going to be a performative team. He's going to play a lot of minutes, right? So he's going to have a lot of shots to take. He's going to have a lot of opportunities to showcase why he's like that or why he needs a little bit more time to develop, right? You look at Cooper Flagg, he has, I'm trying to think, Derek Lively, right? He has Anthony Davis. They still have PJ Washington. They have Kyrie coming back from injury, and somehow he's like bionically healing. Oh my goodness. I watched the workout tapes from something he's recently been doing. He should not be able to do what he's doing right now after the injury that he had. But he's like that. I mean, credit to one of the GOATs. And they're just honestly a really well-rounded team. They are a playoff team. So Coop's gonna have he's gonna have some expectations because he's obviously, supposed to be the Rookie of the Year. But there's a lot of other guys that are going to need the ball in their hands. There's a lot of other schemes that are going to be run because their team will be a winning team. It's not going to be a Cooper Flagg roll the ball out. Cooper Flagg, what you want to do? What you want to do today? That's not how the Dallas Mavericks are going to run. With the Jazz, it's going to be more lenient in favor of Ace Bailey. So he's going to have the opportunity to cook up certain things and have certain games that Cooper Flagg just won't have. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. To me, Ace Bailey and Cooper Flagg are 2 different types of potential superstars, right? Ace Bailey is can and likely will be a very ball dominant star. Cooper Flagg is better at Cooper Flagg. If I'm thinking of like players in the league that are really, really good right now, I look at a Jaylen Brown. He's not quite Jason Tatum. He can't care, I don't think individually as a lone star. Like he's the person that has to break down the defense and create scoring opportunities for his teammates. I don't think he can do that at an extremely high level at the NBA level. The athleticism, the quick first step, all that sort of stuff diminishes once you switch from that college basketball realm to the NBA. And while I think he will have some success because he is tremendously long, I think that he's going to be better served if he's attacking mismatches, if he has the Jaylen Brown role where somebody crashes things. And that's why I think pairing him in the backcourt alongside Kyrie Irving, even doing those 2 at the 1 and the 2 would do wonders. Even if he has D'Angelo Russell, right? He just needs somebody out there that can create mismatches or collapse the defense just a little bit to give him an advantage. As soon as he has an advantage, it's over. It's cooked. But he needs somebody usually to create that advantage. At least from my observation of his game, right? I'm entirely willing to be incorrect. But with Ace Bailey will create the mismatch. And if he doesn't think he has a mismatch, he's just going to force it anyways, right? And I think as this season progresses, we're going to see him take some horrendous shots. But we're also going to see him take some very, very interesting shots. And once we get to a point where he takes a lot of shots where it's like, dang, that's a tough shot, but it goes in and he keeps doing it, those aren't necessarily tough shots anymore, right? We look at Kevin Durant and we watch people guard him. And it's like hand in the face doesn't faze him, right? You see guys put a hand up on, back when Dame was hot, that's crazy. Current and always and forever, Stephen Curry, right? Sometimes good defense and great defense just isn't enough for the offenses they could create. I think that Ace Bailey has the potential to be so offensively potent that no matter how great, you could play 23.999 seconds of terrific defense. And he just needs an inch of space to get that jumper off. And he's putting it through the net, right? And after the media day interview and everything like that, just seeing his energy and his vibe, the guy loves basketball, right? He's not just here because he happened to be good at it. He's not just here because he's making millions of dollars. He just loves good hoops. And when you see a guy that just loves good hoops, they also hate losing. And I love somebody that hates losing, right? Enjoying winning is one thing, but if you hate losing more than you like winning, you're going to be a better player, right? because you're not pushing yourself just because I like the energy, I love the vibes, I like the hurrah, the haha, the crowd chanting. It's because I hate the feeling of when I can't have that. And I think that Ace Bailey can potentially have that. Now, do I necessarily see the who are they comparing him to? Timberwolves. Oh my goodness, Anthony Edwards. Do I see a little bit of a comparison? Yes, but I don't think he's quite the same animal that Anthony Edwards is. Anthony Edwards is a lot more abrasive and disrespectful with the way that he hoops, and I love it. If Ace Bailey just randomly turned into Anthony Edwards one day, I might have to buy every colorway jersey he has. But we gotta pump the brakes on that a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Watch the game box score with it. Yeah, definitely a lot of standouts. One Walt to be the oldest on the team right now, maybe in a year or two for sure, but his rookie year, neither of it. Yeah, Larry spent most of the non-game time frozen in ice in Finland. His biological age is actually 22. I like that. I like that thought process. That's hard. I love that. It was good, Ron. Ace Bailey saved my life. Gets really good. Bryce, nice as ice, dude. Oh my goodness. You said you got one already, and 2 autographs. How do you get 2 autographs already? Tyson, yo, you were a monster with it, dude. What in the world? All right, back to our task at hand. One thing I do want to give somebody credit for. I know I don't glaze him a lot. I know I'm usually really hard on him, but this year I think is the year that he's going to take that step forward that he needs to take. I think he's going to be the player that he needs to be because he has to. He literally has to. There's no other chance. Keontae George, right? That's 7-11 from the field. Like I said, 2 of 5 from 3. But that's not even the most important part. Not the 2 rebounds. It's the 9 assists and goose egg with turnovers, right? He doesn't do that. We haven't seen him put on a assist to turnover ratio like that in forever, right? So the fact that we could see that, we see 16 points, 9 assists, 64% shooting. Preseason, yes. But even if he starts out the regular season with 80% of this, right? That's still really, really good. That's still light years better than what he was showing us last year. And that brings us to Bryce Sensabaugh, man. 9 of 15 from the field, 6 of 10 from beyond the arc. 60%. Not 2 for 3, not 66% on 2 of 3. No, 6 of 10. Right? Nasty work. 3 of 5 from inside the arc, of course. 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, only 1 turnover, 24 points. He's a microwave. He heats up fast. He's hot and ready, right? He's hot and ready. 26 minutes action, he gave you 24 points. Bryce is gonna look so. We're gonna lose a lot of games, right? But watching Bryce hoop is gonna make my night. And more often than not, I might even put him on some parlays. I hope he comes up. Sometimes his name wasn't on there last season, which I found to be kind of weird because I feel like it's kind of freaky because one night he might play 20 minutes, one night he might play 35. Like, I feel like you could scam me out of money that way. Betting apps. Perchance, please actually don't scam me, but just a thought. Like I said, Kevin Love, he played 21 minutes, which was kind of surprising, but considering the position that our roster was in, it made a lot of sense actually. And the fact that obviously Kyle Filipowski wasn't available, so that was more likely the reason why. So 3 of 3, 2 from the 3-point line, hit all 4 of his free throws. 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. 4 turnovers, which was pretty high, all things considered. I do want to look, and it's a preseason. I'm not going to look back. If this was a regular season, I would look and see where those 4 turnovers came from because I actually don't remember them like that. Cody Williams, like I said, struggling. 13 minutes, 1 of 5 from the field. Literally no other stat in his bag except 2 personal fouls, not even a turnover, right? So it's getting to that point, right? It's not looking good, but it's a thing. We obviously also have Walter Clayton Jr. in his 20 minutes of action. He was 3 of 10 from the field. He was 1 of 7 from 3. I don't think he's going to stay 1 of 7 from 3. I don't think that's going to be a consistent norm. I think it was just a getting your feet wet kind of thing, right? Just like C. 1 of 6 is not normal for him, right? I highly doubt that Walter Clayton will repeat this performance. He was 2 of 3 inside the arc, but that 1 of 7 is pretty rough, and that explains, the only 20 minutes of action that he managed to garner. 1 rebound, 3 assists, though. He did have 3 turnovers, which, 1-to-1 ratio for assist to turnovers isn't great, but, you got to start somewhere, right? So I'm not gonna harp on him too hard. I'm not gonna push him too hard. I'm just interested to see what he does exactly, because he has the ability, in my opinion, to take a starting role at some point in the season, probably earlier on than later, depending on how turnover prone he is, how efficient he is shooting the ball. It's kind of hard to shoot the ball worse than Isaiah Collier um, did last year. But if he shoots like this starting out the season, then no, he's not taking back the starting run. He's not taking the starting spot from anybody. Kyle Anderson, not really much to talk about there. 1 to 3 from the field, 6 assists though, was interesting. 2 boards, 2 blocks, 2 points. Just out there doing his thing. Elijah Harkless in the preseason playing some minutes. 8 minutes. Hit his 1 3 that he took, 1 rebound. Really interesting because there was a couple guys in their interviews that said that they actually really enjoyed his energy and the vibe that he gave off, which was surprising because I didn't think he was going to get a lot of shine from anybody. Max Almas not with the team. Interesting. No Mo Bamba was interesting though. No Mo Bamba was interesting. But yeah, then you had all the DMPs. Georges Niang, John Tanji. I want to see Tanji hoop, bro. Oh, Oscar Shibwe, I forgot. Interesting. There's a lot of interesting caveats on this roster. I'm not gonna lie. You said got him months ago because you knew. Okay. Kept that side high school. He looked nice. Good little middies. Still needs a little awkward being point. Yeah. Honestly, Nurkic is a nice little backup center. Nurkic was a lot more. He looked a lot more in shape than I was expecting. I have to give credit where credit is due, right? I'm not a huge Nurkic fan. I haven't been since he was on the Trailblazers, I think. But it was nice seeing him being incredibly, like, literally the image of efficiency today. And then 8 rebounds, 7 assists. The 4 turnovers we can overlook, but 8 rebounds, 7 assists in just 25 minutes of action. Pretty interesting stuff right there. Jokingly just bet over on Ace most of the time. You hate Svi? Why? What does Svi do? Bro's just the backup that just randomly gets starter minutes every now and then. Would rather start Bryce over Svi. Okay, yeah. You know what? Yes, you are correct about that. Sometimes I wonder. So I've been wondering, especially like the last 20 games of last season, is Bryce Sensabaugh a starting caliber scorer, or is he just a spark plug off the bench? Right? Is he the 6th man, or is he that starting forward that doesn't give you a lot of defensive upside? Obviously, we know, but offensively, anything that he gave up on defense, he's giving you that back and then some more. I don't have that answer yet. I think this season we're gonna have that answer. But again, you could make the argument that we would have to wait till next season when we're not planning on tanking anymore. We need to see us trying to win games and see how he scores, see if he gets confused, if he struggles at all with scoring or anything like that. If he doesn't, then fantastic. If he does, well then, got something to discuss, right? That's the only thing I think about. Maybe Harkless could be Pat Bev type of player. That's an interesting thought process. I'm willing to entertain it. I'm willing to entertain almost anything with these players, if I'm going to be quite honest. We got a lot going on here. Kept showing Mo Bamba eating chips on the bench. Nasty way to go. That's a nasty way to go. He said he's spectating. Nah, that's a nasty way to go out. I mean, I guess he knew something that we didn't. I guess he knew he wasn't getting any burn today. But them turning the camera to him multiple times was nasty work. Yeah, for sure. Look, you need the most considered addition center to go times. Yo, Ron, walk it out. You just sat there and said Thomas Bryant. I actually read that name like I actually cared for a second. Yo, walk it out, dude. Nurkic behind Kessler gonna be nice. Yeah, for sure. Bryce is cold as ice. Bryce Sensabaugh. He's just something different, dude. And I was actually wondering if he could continue that play from the summer league into like even the preseason. I was thinking about the regular season, but I was like, I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty decent break in between summer league and even preseason ball. So can you just translate that automatically over? Like, yeah, you were hooping in summer league, but preseason is a step up from summer league, and then regular season is the test. He looked pretty darn good to me today. He looked pretty darn good. He didn't look like a liability defensively either, so that was also nice. That was nice. Bryce reminds me of Seth Curry. Can light it up, but probably won't start long term for a playoff team. You raise a good point. You raise a good point. You say if Seth Curry could poster people, fair play, fair play. Let's see. Walt is hurt for half of summer league, so he just needs more time to warm up. Yeah, that's what I'm inclined to believe. If I'm being honest. And just looking at his pedigree, the one thing that everybody always says about him is the pace that he plays with. And in the NBA, like, taking it back to my personal, one of the players that, has always been close to my heart, with Colin Sexton. When he first came to Utah, even with his injury and everything, it felt like he always had one speed, right? He had 100%. There was no change of pace dribble. There was no methodical nature when he was going downhill specifically, right? If he wanted a three, it was different. But when he was attacking downhill, he's getting to the rim. He's going to shoot the shot, whether you like it or not. And then you saw the change. Over the course of a season, you saw him hesitate more. You saw him be deliberate with his moves. You saw him being intentional 24/7. You saw him driving at the rim. And if he didn't like the look, he dumped the ball off, he lobbed it to John Collins, or he swung the ball out to Lowry or somebody out on the wing and then reset the offense. And it's like knowing how to switch the pace up, knowing when, hey, I don't need this right now. I don't have to force this right now. I could take my time. It's a whole different wave. It's a whole different vibe. And when you're comfortable doing that, it just overall makes you a better composite player. And I think Walter Clayton Jr. has that gene already in him. And it's heavily obviously based on the fact that he played so long in college basketball, but that's the pedigree that you need coming out of college if you're going to play a long time. You can't be Walter Clayton Jr.'s age, right? You can't come out of college having burnt all your years of eligibility and not be either efficient or have a strong understanding of the game. Be able to understand and study tape really, really well, right? Be able to control an offense if you play the point guard position, right? You can't do that because you will not exist long. And though a testament to his credibility, the fact that he's able to be here right now, and even though this wasn't a stellar performance, I don't expect this to be the norm. Dare I say, this is an anomaly. And 5 games down the road, especially when the regular season actually starts, and this is only 20 minutes of action, right? You give him, let's 10x it, right? Let's say 200 minutes worth of action. He starts looking like the Walter Clayton we were hoping he would be, right? He doesn't have to be perfect. He doesn't even have to be 90% of what he was in college at the next level just yet, right? Soon, I would love to see it, but just yet, no, right? Give me 60%. Give me 60%. Give me upper 30s. Give me 36% from 3, right? If you could do that, the value between you and Isaiah Collier starts to the difference in value starts to diminish because one of y'all can't shoot. Now, maybe Isaiah Collier can shoot now. We haven't seen, obviously in the summer league, there was a lot more finicky stuff going on. And he didn't play, to show us stuff that would say he's improved in that area. And even in his interview during media day, he didn't sit there and explicitly point out the fact that he worked on shooting. He just said he worked on getting in shape, which I felt like was an intentional and interesting response and choice of words. But at the same time, I don't blame him for making that response. I am interested to see a lot of the competition. I know we're going to be a bad team. I know the goal is to be a bad team. I know we're going to see a lot of lineups where, like, for a 7-minute stretch, we're going to have 5 guys on the court. And it's like, why are they on the court together? But then we're also going to have minutes where, Bryce just rattles off 10. Ace Bailey rattles off 10. Taylor Hendricks hits 2 threes, gets a block. Lowry does Lowry things. A random explosion, maybe even a Cody Williams, I want to believe style game drops. Just little stuff to keep us engaged. It'd be nice. Helped a lot of them with the work. Dude, that Dallas workout, I can't tell you how much I was impressed when I found out Keontae George was the one that organized it. It wasn't led by the coaching staff. It wasn't suggested by the coaching staff. Keontae George said, yo, pull up. We're going to go to Dallas. We're going to get this work in. That's leadership, right? A man in his third year recognizing I have to be better. There is no excuse anymore. I don't have any rope to lean on, right? I lost my starting role last year. And even when I came back and I was healthy, I couldn't get it back, right? I need that. I need that. And I have to show you guys that I am worthy of that. It will not be given, right? Things in Will Hardy's system are not given, right? Now, sometimes we're going to see some wacky lineups and you can say, okay, those are given. But that's the only guarantee you're going to see. If you're a young player, you're not going to be guaranteed minutes just because we want to lose. We could throw Yusuf Nurkic out there and we can find a way to lose games. We can start Svi, we can start Yusuf Nurkic, we can go Kevin Love on extended minutes, we can go Cody Williams, we can go Kyle Anderson, we can go Max Abmas. We can lose, for sure. For sure, right? Say Lowry's hurt, say Walker Kessler's hurt. We can lose. We can find ways to lose games. It's very easy. It's very easy. That's why the effort, the energy, the intensity, the style of play, comprehending, communicating on defense, all the little things will matter this year. And I want to see a lot of guys take steps forwards, and I hope that they do. Ace is my happiness, though. Hearing Ace staying in Utah to prep for the season was nice to hear. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, he seems to like it. Him and Lowry haven't gotten their fishing trip in yet, but I'm hoping that it does come soon. I need to see it. I feel like it's necessary at this point. You feel what I'm saying? I haven't been hyped for the player like this since Spida. Ooh, that's high praise. That's high praise, but understandably so as well. We have a strong potential core together, a good second option. So either Ace booms fast or we get a high upside and expect superstar from the jump this next draft. I just don't want the Jazz to fail to rebuild around Ace, and then Ace would leave in 4 years. That would actually be terrible. Like, that's the worst case scenario. Ace actually does turn out to be him, and then we do such a shoddy job and blow what we've built so far, and he walks. Like, that would be the most disgusting thing that could happen to us. Like, by a mile and a half. Like, that would be like war crime level villainy, honestly. Like, that's on par with Paul George walking from the Clippers for nothing. Like, to this day, that's crazy. Because you think about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, all that. Basically, they traded championship pedigree, a guaranteed ring, because they have a ring now, for Paul George. And then Paul George walked. So they traded all that. They traded a ring and perennial greatness for nothing. Like, that would be the vibe I would get if Ace Bailey just walked in free agency. Like that, yeah, for sure. For sure. Most definitely. Where was I? Oh, I say Keontae has more rope now, as now we don't have two of the exact same person on the court at once. True, but this is where he has to establish himself as the player he wants to be, right? Because we don't have Jordan Clarkson anymore, right? And you could make the argument, okay, well, some of his role overlapped with Colin Sexton. Well, now you also have Walter Clayton Jr., right? And Walter Clayton Jr. to me is very, very similar to Colin Sexton in a lot of ways. And I love the maturity that he carries himself with. But then you also have two other guys. You also have Isaiah Collier, who was the man that played well enough to take Keontae George's spot because Keontae couldn't shoot. Now, you could argue that Isaiah Collier shoots worse than Keontae George, which is factually accurate. But he's definitely a better playmaker, definitely a better table setter. And he's turnover prone, but at the time, Keontae George was also turnover prone. So it was a battle of negatives, and one person just happened to have a few less. So I want to see Keontae George I want to see him prove to everybody that he was worth every minute over everybody else and every glaze session that analyst would give him over everything else. Like, once that happens, that'll be a really good day. Because Honestly, it'll be very alleviating. It'll be terrific if I'm being honest. It's hard to put into words. You said either Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer, or AJ Dibonsa needs to be ours. AJ would be the dream. I don't know if we're gonna get it though. We just need something worthwhile. Basically, D Mitch over again. Got a few Bryce autos. Ooh, nah, Bryce autograph is hard. Bryce autograph is hard. Congrats on believing in Bryce. You were so right, dude. Oh my goodness. Like it's great when it works out. It sucks when you believe in somebody and they just don't see it, or like when they have like a really good game and it's like, oh my goodness, I think this is the one. I think this is the one, and they just rattle off 7 stinkers in a row. It's like, fuck. It's like, dude, please, dude, like lock in. Yeah, you can't always get it, you know. Here's the thing: 3 people need to be kept of the young players right now. Do whatever it takes to get Ace. Takes for Ace. Lockdown Bryce is the best shooter on the team right now. Don't fumble Kessler any further, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I understand why they're holding off on the contract extension and everything like that, but to me, there's no world where we don't re-sign Walker Kessler. Because in my head, right, if you let somebody walk, that means you are either comfortable losing them, and or you have the replacement already lined up. There's not 10 other Walker Kesslers defensively in the league. There's not 10 other shot blockers better than Walker Kessler. He was top 3, right? The only person in the league that you will say 9 in and 9 out will be a better shot blocker than Walker Kessler is Victor Wembanyama, because he's Victor Wembanyama. So unless you, and it's like we don't even have competent shot blockers behind him. Yusuf Nurkic is not a defensive big. Kyle Filipowski, we saw him in the summer league not give resistance at the rim. He's not going to be your savior if you trade away Walker Kessler. That's not how it's going to work. And you can stretch out Taylor Hendricks as much as you want to, but there's going to be a limit to what he's able to do. It just doesn't make sense to try and stress people out and try and force them to do certain things when they're not comfortable already doing it. And if I'm going to be frank, it just makes the most sense to keep him around. He's the type of player that if you take care of him, if you nurture him, and you treat him well, he will be successful. He will want to thrive in the system. And he's always indicated that he wants to stay in Utah. It's very rare that you have great players. All respect to Utah, like the environment, the vibes, right? But most NBA stars don't sit there and say, oh yeah, I want to go to Utah. None of them do. A lot of them get traded to Utah and don't even want to play. So we have Larry Markkinen who said, I want to be here. And then we still tried to shop him. Ultimately we ended up keeping him and gave him that max contract. So great job. But then you have the guys where you draft them, right? So they're stuck here whether they like it or not. They live the Utah lifestyle, right? They get immersed in the culture. And they say, you know what? I want to be here. You can't squander that by being a piss poor front office. Like, that's something you can't do because you're already on a short lease. You don't live in LA. You don't live in this isn't Texas, right? There's no inherent benefit to them staying there. They're not going to get more brand sponsorships and brand deals by staying in your area, right? So they're entirely reliant on, well, not entirely reliant on their contract, but more often than not, their contract matters a little bit more there, right? And if their team doesn't win a lot of games, if they're not even a competitive roster, then they feel like an afterthought. And as much as like, for example, DeAndre Ayton, just pulling one out of my back pocket. We don't necessarily like DeAndre Ayton, right? But DeAndre Ayton felt like an afterthought. After Phoenix, when he went to the Trailblazers were buns. He got traded to a buns franchise. Scoot Henderson wasn't able to shoot, so you had a non-shooting threat point guard running with a big that was trying to find some semblance of existence. And, now they have 2 guys, Donovan Clingan and, what is his name? From China. I love his game. Is it Janssen? Something like that. I love what he's going to develop into. But, now he gets to move on. And if he can't succeed with the Lakers, right, then it's over for him. Because that's as good as it gets, right? You're going to get scrutinized every night. But you're also beside 2 of the greatest playmakers the league has ever seen. The situation doesn't get any better for you. So at that point, the league decides, yeah, you're bad, right? And I'd like to see Mo Bamba get an opportunity to showcase, that he deserves to be in the league, that he is a quality player. I don't know what that looks like though, and I don't want to bank on the Mo Bamba that I don't know, because I want to play gimmicks in games with Walker Kessler because he can't shoot yet, right? Like, yes, we're tanking this year, but ideally you don't want to tank next year. And we're also not planning on taking a center next year or in this coming up draft, right? So why would we play games? It's just, maybe it's just me chatting, but I just think about it. You know what I'm saying? He said, yeah, I wish we could have extended Kessler. Maybe he wants more money than the front office wants to give him at the moment. That's definitely what it is. And also, I think it's like the ploy of them they're like, okay, you want this amount of money, you want us to give you the though it's not a max technically, the max amount that you are able to receive under contract going forward as an extension. You have to show us something this year. I could see them hardballing him that way, and I would understand, from the business side of things, as long as you're transparent with players. I have no issue with most things that front offices do. It's when they don't communicate certain things, hold players to a certain standard, and then bend them over backwards with no lube. Wham, wham, wham. That was a crazy analogy to pull right there. Okay. When they just do stuff and blindside players, I don't like that, right? When there's dishonesty in the front office and then the way they communicate, that's something that I don't like, right? Because does it happen in the workplace? Technically, yes. But that doesn't make it correct. That doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it fair. So I don't think that it should be like a consistent thing that occurs at all. Afraid to see a Gordon Hayward situation happen with Walker. Yeah, that would be nasty. Hansen. Yes. Thank you. Let's get 100%. We need a top 3 pick. It could likely happen. We had our best odds this past year and it didn't work out our way, but at least we were locked for the top 5, right? So as long as we can lock in there, we'll make something shake. And more Jerry Jones front offices. Oh my goodness. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. Yeah. But no, that's as far as they go. But yeah. I didn't have anything else crazy to touch on for you boys. I didn't want to take up too much of anybody's time. Whenever I make my videos, I have a tendency to sit there and say, yeah, Pat Riley micromanages too much. Like, there's a limit. Like the San Antonio Spurs, though they had some issues and they had their falling out with Kawhi Leonard, for the most part, they are regarded as one of the most very high functioning, but also allowing people to exist within the framework of their system. And I like that a lot. But yeah, didn't want to take up too much of you guys' time. How long has it been? It can't be more than an hour. We've been here for less than an hour. Yeah, we've been vibing, But yeah, the next game is what? This Friday? Let me ask. Yeah, Friday. So Friday, we'll do it again. Probably around the same time, like 20 minutes after the game. Or no, I'm off that night. So we might do it right after. We might do it right after the game. I'm not gonna lie. I might start up the live stream during the game actually. Though I can't actually broadcast the game. But yeah, I'll sort it out. The Leonard news was disgusting. It was disgusting. It literally had my jaw on the floor because to me the Spurs were like that ideal organization. Like if I could play for any team and it almost guarantees my spot in the league, it guarantees that I'm a good player, I want to go to the Spurs. Why wouldn't I want to go to the Spurs? Then that drop, I was like, are we serious, dude? This isn't just any player. This is Kawhi Leonard. This is Mr. Hush Hush No Media Drama, Kawhi Leonard. Defensive lockdown mid-range on pure Kawhi Leonard. Yeah. This summer may have revealed that the Kawhi thing was on Kawhi, not the Spurs front office. There was. It definitely made things a little bit smoother. While everybody's not willing to show all their cards, nobody's showing their entire hands. We're seeing a lot more smooth, It was both sides. It wasn't the relationship. They didn't break up because of one person. He didn't cheat on her. They were both disloyal. You know, that kind of thing. 17 people in here, bro. That's huge. Yeah. Hey man, shout out. Shout out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course. You know, we're gonna have obviously when the regular season starts up, we're gonna I'll never forget those my OGs in here. Tyson, I know you remember. Logic, I know you remember. 2 seasons ago when we had that run where we had Simone Fontecchio and everybody, all the boys, we had Chris Dunn, everybody, and we went on that stretch. We were like what 17-4 or whatever, just or 4. It might have been 14-7. I might be exaggerating a little bit. I'm embellishing the story. I know I am. But we had that really, really strong stretch, and then we were so good when we were supposed to be bad that at the trade deadline they just shipped off like half of the people we really rocked with. They sent away Ochai Abaji, they sent away Fontecchio, they sent away Kelly Olynyk. Like they were shipping all our guys out. The lives were popping back then. We was going 40, 50 deep on the regular. Chat was popping. We were having fun. We were on our high horse, and then we started tanking. We're gonna get back though. You know, it's been a long road. We're gonna get there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. With that backroom deal. low key. Yeah, Vando, Conley, Malik. Oh man, yeah, it was. Hey, we're gonna be a competent organization. We are going to be a respected team. We're going to have players that play their hearts out every night. And, you know, yeah. Matter of fact, what is it? Hold on. It should be this. It should be this, I think. I'm like 80% sure. But yeah, anytime you have like a question or anything, you know, add me on IG, add me on Discord or whatever. We can always chop it up because I'm usually, I talk hoops, I talk anime, I go to work. That's really it. And then I watch the Jazz lose. It's not gonna happen for a while though. Trust. Gotta believe, guys. But you know, we're gonna see how things go. The Spurs, I didn't even realize that it's gonna be against the Spurs. So this Friday, around the same time, we'll do a live stream again. Hopefully, we're going to have some more stuff to glean. I really want to focus on the matchups between both us and the Spurs because I love the way the Spurs are constructed. And depending on who they have active during that game and how many minutes they play, it's going to be a very telling thing for us when we look at our young core. You know what I'm saying? I think that's going to be a really, really big one. And then we have the Mavericks next, so that'll be nice. Seeing Cooper Flag versus Ace Bailey, that's going to be cute. But yeah, this next preseason game is going to be a really telling one for me. But like always, you know, as I say, good morning, good evening, and good night. No matter where you're on the globe watching, he said, don't please. You got Logic, you're killing me with that. Good morning, good evening, and good night, no matter where you're on the globe watching. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.